go.
As any red-blooded feminist will tell you, there are just not as many women in political power as men. Hell, there are not as many women in positions of power generally. The obvious answer to this phenomenon is that men fill women's offices with action movies and pictures of monster trucks to drive them out, or perhaps put cookbooks in their file cabinets to help them find their true calling. Either way, feminists are sure that the patriarchy is working against women and preventing them from reaching parity in these jobs. To combat this, they have asked, nay, demanded, that corporations do more to entice women into these roles. In this day and age, it's expected that businesses employ affirmative action to meet quotas and fulfill agendas and welcome in the tidal wave of female workers that has been supposedly building for generations. So why is it that women are still in the minority when it comes to corporate leadership? Well, the real answer is actually a lot more straightforward than a top-secret international patriarchal conspiracy dedicated to perpetually thwarting female attempts to gain equality. Surprise, surprise. The truth is that women just don't want these positions. Not when they realise how much they would have to give up to get them. That's not to suggest that women are not as ambitious as men or lack imagination, it's that men and women feel fulfilled in life in different ways. Men value themselves in terms of how much they can achieve, how much success they can accrue. Men are very one-track oriented, they dedicate themselves fully to a single cause. Women, on the other hand, prefer more variety in their life. Yes, they want to achieve success, but they are less likely to obsess about it the way that men do. Instead, they are more fulfilled by how much they can connect with other people, especially children. I know, here come the angry comments about how misogynistic I am for suggesting that most women want to have children and place being a mother over career ambitions, blah blah blah. Yeah, well, tough, because it's true. At the end of the day, we have evolved to want what's best for our species' survival. Men want to gather as many resources as they can and establish themselves as the alpha male because that's what will attract women to them, and women want to find a man who can support her when she's pregnant, vulnerable, and looking after young children. This is why comedians joke about women who look for prospective husbands care about what kind of job a man has, what kind of house he lives in, or what car he drives, whereas men only care if she's hot. Most women want to have children. In fact, most want to have several children for the selfish reason of making sure the human race doesn't die out. Inevitably, whether she intends it or not, this will get in the way of her career aspirations. Women who are driven to reach the top can usually only afford one pregnancy in their lifetime if they're going to make it. Hillary Clinton has one daughter. Margaret Thatcher had twins and so was only pregnant once. Theresa May doesn't have kids, nor does Angela Merkel, and nor did Julia Gillard, Australia's first female Prime Minister. This, for most women, is too big an ask, and they're not prepared to put their jobs so far above their family. Typically, even after the child is born, women take on fewer hours than they did before, so as to spend more time parenting, while men usually take on more hours after the child is born. This is how they each express their love for their children. A mother wants to nurture, and a father wants to provide. A woman sees herself as a successful parent if she's there to tuck her child into bed every night. And a father sees himself as a success if he works late all year so that he can take the whole family to Disneyland in the summer. This duality of priorities complements each other and is a key reason children need both parents while growing up. Women are also far more risk averse than men. Males, because they're filled with testosterone and think they'll live forever, tend to take more high-risk gambles than women. Females, on the other hand, believe, just because they might have a human being growing in them one day, that they ought to be more careful. Pansies. Now, because men are willing to make huge gambles, inevitably some of them succeed and rise all the way to the top. This is how you end up with people like Donald Trump, so prone to taking risks that he has been bankrupt 6 times and still somehow became President of the United States. However, the people you don't hear about are the ones who took risks and it all went wrong. Like, what's his face? Remember him? He was going to be huge. While it's true that men occupy most of the top positions in society, like CEOs and presidents, they also occupy most of the bottom, bin collectors, sewage workers, etc. This is the glass cellar that you never hear about. Women, because they play it safe, usually fit in the middle. They never gambled at all and won, but they never gambled at all and lost either. But there is another important factor that stops some women reaching top political positions, and this is a key reason why Hillary Clinton's campaign failed. Actually, it's a major reason why both of the female British Prime Ministers have been members of the right-wing Conservative Party. It's because feminist, liberal politicians who use the fact that they're a woman to score sympathy votes are simultaneously shooting themselves in the foot. Clinton used to bring up the fact that she would be the first female president at every opportunity. She would remind audiences that this made her the underdog, and so people should support her efforts to fight the big bad patriarchy and end all the evil sexism that was holding her back.
A woman running to be the first woman president.
I cannot imagine anyone being more of an outsider than the first woman president.
Who can be more of an outsider than a woman president?
Well, I can't think of anything more of an outsider than electing the first woman president.
A woman president of the United States of America.
The thing is, doing this was a huge tactical error. All that voters were going to hear was her stating over and over again, "I'm weak, I'm weak, I'm weak." You can't sell yourself as a force to be reckoned with while also asking people to feel sorry for you. You can't be a strong leader and a helpless victim at the same time. Margaret Thatcher was the first elected female leader in the Western world, and she achieved that by marching into Parliament and telling all the men present that they could either get behind her or get out of the way because she was the biggest, baddest politician who ever lived, and she was going to beat the crap out of anyone who disagreed. Thus, she won 3 elections and led the country for over 11 years. Now, I don't like Thatcher personally, but it's pretty obvious to see why she got in and Clinton didn't. Thatcher hated feminists. As far as she was concerned, all they did was try to keep taking credit for things that she had achieved. Her refusal to let them, and her insistence that what she did was for herself, her party and her country, and not for women, was what made her so successful. The woman who eventually becomes the first female president of the United States has to understand that. She'll be someone who understands that she can't be both the knight in shining armour and the damsel in distress.